Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Nephew and Mr. Dubois. It's good to see you both again. Thank you for your testimonies and your hard work in this endeavor. A year later, here we are. I just want to highlight a couple of things. I've got a question on the German intelligence report. I will start with you, Mr. Dubois. But I want to highlight my concern about where we are with Iran. I mean, I thought we were naive last year. I was criticized by using that word, and yet the attempt here, it seemed to me, was to accommodate Iran in this nuclear deal, and then thereby encouraging them to join the spirit of the community of nations. That seemed to be the overall strategy. And yet here we are within the first 12 months. We know about the ballistic missile launches, 7 illicit launches, harassment of U.S. forces, not only the Navy sailors that were illegally detained, but also some 10% of U.S. crossings of the Strait of Hormuz are characterized as unsafe by the Navy because of involvement of Iranian interactions. We know that there are still U.S. hostages, some with dual nationalities, but several U.S. hostages still being detained. 4 confirmed reports of interdicted arms shipments from Iran to Yemen to the Houthis. We see violations of travel sanctions. The general in control of the IRGC has made 4 illicit trips to the Soviet Union. We know the procurement attempts in Germany now coming out from their intelligence report, but also from the Institute of Science and International Security. I could go on, but these are really concerning. It doesn't seem to me that the evidence is that Iran is trying to join the spirit of the community of nations at all. And so they have an agenda. In fact, what we know right now from the $1.7 billion that was released to them under a disagreement, that their own budget this year says that all of that money goes to the military. As a matter of fact, I think it's true that they have increased the spending on their military by 90%, I think. That is not the sign of a country that's been in economic woes for 10 years or more and are now trying to help build their economy and moving away from this nuclear effort and their attempts at supporting terrorism in the region and Bashar al-Assad. So my question, I want to go to the German specific, Mr. Dubois. Can you talk to me about the intelligence reports, the report from the Institute of Science and International Security about the carbon acquisition attempts? It seems like it's not just one report, that something like 7 of the 9 states or whatever that looked at it have come back with evidence that these indeed have been endeavors that Iran has been undertaking. Can you address that for us?
Correct, Senator Perdue. So there's a federal report. There are 16 German states that issue their own intelligence reports, of which 8 have been made public. My colleague in Berlin, Benny Wienthal, has been pouring through them in German, looking for the details. And the details are quite striking, that Iran was engaged in significant illicit procurement of nuclear, ballistic, chemical, and biological weapons-related technology. But what I find most troubling about the reports is the response to the reports. The administration, instead of blasting the Iranians and saying that we absolutely oppose this kind of malign activity, we will aggressively enforce U.S. sanctions, and this kind of behavior up to the negotiations of the JCPOA and after the negotiations of the JCPOA is completely unacceptable and is a violation of the JCPOA, which has a specific procurement channel through which the Iranians are supposed to be going. Instead, from the administration, we got excuses. From the German Foreign Ministry, a remarkable response. The German Foreign Ministry said, well, we're not concerned because these are clearly Iranian hardliners trying to undermine the moderates. Well, of course they're Iranian hardliners. The Iranian hardliners are in charge of the nuclear program, the missile program. They're in charge of Iran's terrorist activities. They've got in charge of Iran's vast system of human rights abuses. They're in charge of all of the destabilizing activities that Iran is engaged in. So the fact that the hardliners are engaged in illicit procurement is not a reason to be reassured. It's a reason to be even more concerned. And so what I would hope and expect from this administration is aggressive enforcement. And as David Albright has said, there are significant concerns that the Obama administration is actually blocking prosecutions and investigations of Iranian illicit procurement. It is not a posture that we want to take. And I agree with Senator Corker. I mean, I think our economic sanctions snapback is delusional, but I think their nuclear snapback is actually incredibly powerful. And we've seen a year of this. It's deterred this administration and the Europeans from vigorously enforcing non-nuclear sanctions at a minimum. And so the Iranians are constantly going to invoke this threat to walk away from the deal anytime we try to push back, even in ways that are allowed by the JCPOA. The longer we allow that dynamic to continue, the worse it is for American national security.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.